Hello and welcome to the Albion Roar's Shirt of Our Years. My name's Alan Wares. Thank you very much indeed for watching in. This is the fourth episode in the series, and for this show we've got an absolute legend. He needs no introduction, so he's not going to get one. Enjoy. And as you can see, looking tanned and beautiful as ever, and forever the show-off he once was, it is the Albion legend of legends. It's Peter Ward. Pete, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Alan. Yes, lovely. Doing well, keeping safe, hopefully.
So I mean, it's obviously what's going on at the moment. It's a worldwide lockdown. So what are the rules that you've got over in Florida for trying to keep yourself safe?
It's just you can only go out if you're going to go to a grocery store or whatever. That's about it, really. Nothing's open. And all the restaurants will deliver if you need anything. And other than that, going crazy without football.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even get a chance to kick the ball against the wall these days.
Neos. Actually, I'm still playing over 60s, so it's quite good. But not at the moment. It's a
you're going to fly back and join the Albion's. You're going to fly back and join the Albion's walking team, are you?
That's it. Yeah, more than likely.
Now we're recording this on April the 24th, which would have been the first leg of the Robert Eaton Memorial Fund match. Is that we were going to do this over 2 legs this year for the first time. Obviously, world events have overtaken us, and we were due to be playing at the Croydon Arena, home of Croydon Football Club. But instead, the Renf team manager, Brett Mendoza, set you guys a challenge. Do you want to tell the ladies and gentlemen what you've been up to this week?
I was just, the wife videoed me keeping up a toilet roll and then volleying it to someone else in England. So I had to hit it really hard, so it didn't travel over the water.
Fair enough.
One take. That was good. That was enough.
Was this before or after you used it?
Before.
But actually, there was something that happened off camera. What happened once you kicked the toilet roll?
I knocked over the toaster. I hit it pretty well, actually, the toilet roll. And I was aiming for the kitchen, of course, nothing really, but it hit the toaster and knocked it over. It's quite funny.
Brilliant. So, yeah, I think you've raised the challenge to the Palisades. But tell us about what, it's obviously you were playing for us in the 70s and 80s, but tell us what it's like for you to come over and play for the Eaton Memorial Fund team.
It's great. I mean, I'm playing with a lot of young men, and they're a good crowd, a real good bunch. And obviously we go out after, but it's I can only do about 10, 15, 20 minutes now. It's I mean, they're young, they can run all day long, where I can't. And then it was I remember the last one at Worthing.
Yeah.
It was so cold. I mean, I went on in the second half and I just had to come back out. It was too cold, way too cold.
That's interesting, that, because I mean, every time we play at Lewis, it always feels cold. And we've played at Worthing. I mean, you play at Lancing, it can be on a scorchio day like today, a very warm day. And as soon as you get into that ground, as soon as the sun goes down, it's like you're playing in a fridge.
It was unbelievable. I mean, my legs were blue. It was quite funny. And I mean, it's 5 minutes later. I said, I can't. Off. I went off. Too cold. Way too cold.
Oh, dear. But listen, we're doing Shirts of Our Years. While we're in lockdown, we're just talking to various people associated with the club. We've already spoken to Phil Shelley, our sponsor of oldfootballshirts.com. He's got an online gallery of 107,000 shirts, which is slightly obsessive, bordering on maybe sort of psychotic. But there are a lot of people who like to send him pictures of their football shirts. But you being Peter Ward, we've asked everyone to just do one shirt, but you being Peter Ward, you decided to do 2. So
I was going to do more. I mean,
give us a natural about that one.
My debut one first, the green machine one. It's awful.
Give us the lowdown, the history on that one.
Well, I'd been sub a couple of times, never got on because she only had one sub in them days, and So we went to Hereford on the bus and at the hotel, and I was actually had a cold. So Glenn Wilson, the trainer, was filling me with whiskey and others remedies, and then next morning we go for a walk, and we had the lunch, and then we had the team meeting, and out of the blue, because Fred Binney was top scorer, Peter Taylor just went, "Fred, you're not playing, PD, you're in," and that was it. And that I crapped my pants, you know. I thought, oh my God, I'm making a debut, and but it turned out well. I scored after 50-something seconds, and the rest is history.
Is it a case that it was on Match of the Day or the big match or something? Or
it was on Match of the Day. It was because in them days, you know, probably 3 or 4 games over both channels, BBC and ITV, and that was it. And luckily enough, I made my debut when we had Brighton on Match of the Day, and Sammy Morgan said he'd scored it because he put the goalie off because it weren't a great goal, but right. It just flopped into the corner of the net, and I thought I scored it at the time, but then Sammy said he did. So, but we stopped the bus at some pub somewhere, and we got out and we watched Match of the Day, all the team, and it was proved then that was my goal. So I got my first goal.
So did the lads turn on Sammy Morgan saying, "Hang on, you know, don't pick on the youngster"?
No, he was all right. He just laughed. He has to try and play me. I'm sure I'd do the same.
Well, absolutely. Well, I've got to be honest with you. And I've written this down before. The number of times that you've done this. My first ever game was Brighton against Oldham. So September 1978. We won 1-0 at the Goldstone. It was credited as an own goal, but you went off and claimed it. I think there's the 2 of you running for it, and I got a feeling that the defender got to it before you did, and keeper's head.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, of course you did.
Yeah, I did. Never lie about that.
Well, I'm afraid to say the history books do say it goes down as whoever Hurst was, a Hurst own goal.
So. No, it's terrible. Terrible.
So that was your first game. So when you you played that game and you realised that you scored on your debut, because it was near to the end of the season, did you realise what was going to follow from then? I mean, were you confident that you could actually just oust?
It was there was 8 games left, and I wore number 8. Actually, number 9 the first game, and then after that I wore number 8, and and I scored 6 goals in the last 8 games. But after that Hereford game, I thought I might get a chance of starting again, and I did. And then it went to the end of the season, and Peter Taylor quit. He got me in the office. He gave me a new contract. And then a few days later, he quit and went with Cloughie. I think they went up to Leeds, didn't they? But
Leeds by then. I think he joined him at Forest.
Yeah, Forest. That's right. He joined him at Forest. He'd left Leeds, hadn't he? And then...
I can't believe he got that, because he signed you for Forest.
Yeah, he did. That's right. But like I said, I got a new contract at Brighton, and he left. So I thought, oh my God, you know, Alan Mullery came in, didn't know him, only as a player, and so we stopped pre-season, and it's going well. And then we had a 11v11 match, and I was on the second 11. But I scored a few goals against the first team, so he switched me into the first team, and then I played every game.
So it wasn't the first season that you hit the 32 goals, was it? It was. So we're now into 75, 76 here, or are we talking 76 into 77?
76, 77. Of course, the 74, 75 season. I think I signed. I remember.
I can hear the cogs whirring here. Yeah. So was it the end of the 75, 76 season you made your debut, and then? Yeah.
Because I'd been in the reserves all year, and so 76, 77 was when I got the 32 league goals, season, 36 altogether, and that was the season. Yeah, 76, 77.
So I know it might sound a daft question. I'm sure this has been asked of you many times, but when you're playing a season of probably close to 60 games than 46, whatever it is, and we've done well in the League Cup that year, and we've got past some first division sides and what have you. But sort of 45 years on, 43 years on, is any of it a blur, or do you remember each and every one?
You remember quite a lot, actually. Well, I do. Some's a blur, like the West Brom that year, I scored both goals at West Brom. We won 2-0.
Yeah.
That's when Johnson got sent off when he kicked the ref.
What did you say to him to make him do that?
Oh, I don't know. It's a nutcase.
So Willie Johnson got sent from the World Cup.
Did what?
Was that Willie Johnson who got sent home from the World Cup a couple of years later?
It probably was.
Yeah.
He came over here to play, actually. And I remember watching a game. I can't remember who he was playing with, but he was taking a corner, turned round, and a guy had a beer, took his beer off him, drank the beer, and then crossed.
Oh, those were the days. Those were the days.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Do you remember? Do you remember most of your time? So that obviously you were getting better bit by bit by bit. As we were climbing divisions, you had a dream England under-21 start. A game at the Goldstone, home crowd. Yeah. Tell us about that, because we're going to go on to your other shirt in a minute, and it's linked to that. But tell us about your under-21 debut.
Well, I'm in the squad, obviously, and it's. I'm not sure if I was going to start the match, and then before the game, they gave out the team, and I was in the team, or they may have done that the night before, actually. I remember the night before, we all the players, we went to the movies, and we watched The Spy Who Loved Me, James Bond. Brilliant. And that was the night before, and day of the game went well, and I got a hat-trick, the right foot, left foot, and a header. So it's perfect hat-trick. I remember Laurie Cunningham, who passed away, didn't he, in Spain, playing Madrid, crossed for my third goal. Yeah, that was a good squad too. You look back at the players on that on the squad, and there's some good players. Real good players.
Who scored the other three?
Dean, who was at Villa, John Dean, and I think Barnsley got the other one. Of course, Dean got.
I haven't looked it up. I've got a feeling was it Gary Owen?
Gary Owen, yeah. He could have got the other one. Been a long time. I can't remember.
Yeah, but the headline was Ward 3, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. I remember, of course, Einar Haas. When I was at Forest, we bought Einar Haas from Bayern Munich, and he came into the dressing room, and he come over to me with a picture, and it was me scoring one of the goals against Norway, and he was the defender marking me, and he said he signed it, so I signed it for him. But yeah, that was it was. Of course, you don't realise, when he's joined Forest, he might be Norwegian, but you don't know if you played against him. But yeah, it was quite funny.
Well, you can imagine that actually he probably never got to see your face. He only got to see your number 8. So
yeah, that's all he did see.
Got 3 goals. He has done a pretty good job. So
yeah.
So that's 1977 we've got to, and we get on to you actually make a full debut for England, and that in terms of style is my favourite all-time England shirt, the kind of the Esso one. But tell us about that shirt itself.
Well, I've got that one as well. I was sub, obviously, right? And it says, honest, there's about 15 minutes or so to go, and the ball didn't go out forever. So I'm standing on the side waiting to go in, and eventually got in. And I think with the injury time, it was about 8 minutes. But luckily, there's been a couple of people who have got less now, because I had the record at one stage as the shortest.
I was mentioning this. Now, I in preparation for this, it's still I didn't realise that the record has since been beaten, because I actually thought it was still the record. So who are you going to name names? Who's shorter?
God. Somebody did, I can't remember who it was who's shorter. I was going to kill him anyway, so he'd still keep it to the record.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. So yeah. So set the scene. Which game were we talking about that you came on play to play?
In Australia. I roomed with Frank Lampard's dad, and that was a good team. We had some good players on the squad. It was a great trip in Australia for a week in Sydney, and we played at the Sydney Cricket Ground. And yeah, that was a great trip. I mean, coming back was like 32 hours. I think everyone got drunk 2 or 3 times and sobered up. It was on a plane that long. And I think we carried Kevin Beattie off. I think we carried him off. It was.
So was this kind of really full strength England side? I mean, because we're talking about under Ron Greenwood here. So we're talking about
yeah, it was Hoddle. Yeah, it was pretty strong. There was Mariner was up top. Mariner, Sunderland, Hoddle.
Good company.
Beattie, at the back.
So would you have the likes? Phil Thompson and Dave Watson, Mick Mills, that lot?
Watson. I can't remember the rest. Honest, I'd have to think. I'd have to sit down and Brookin. I think Brookin was on the trip. Or was he? Goodness me. Frank Lampard was at the left back. I saw Frank here in. He was when he was playing with the New York, and they had a friendly where the Rowdies play. So I was talking to him before the match, and I was telling him I roomed with his dad, and Frank says, "Oh God, was he boring then as he is now?" I said, "Yeah, more or less."
Oh dear. Listen, Pete, we're going to sign off now. Thanks for those memories. Quickly show us the shirts again. Let's have a look at those shirts again just before we sign off. Yes. So we're looking at old shirts of our years. We're talking about a 1980 England shirt, played when he played in Australia. For all of 8, that's what that number represents. Not the number he wore; it's the number of minutes he was on the pitch.
Yes, correct. And that's the under-21 one. Under-21.
Oh, that's your under-21 shirt. Okay.
Yeah, the full one's in the closet. And there's the debut one. I didn't know badge. Said just bring one shirt. I could have bought a load out. I've got a lot of shirts. Yeah,
absolutely.
A lot. Are
they on Phil Shelley's football site?
Are they what? Yeah. Good. Are they what?
Glad to hear it. Are they on Phil Shelley's old football shirt site? Yeah.
They're. I have a lot of shirts.
You do.
Phil Shelley has a lot. Yeah. No.
He does. But have you taken a picture and put them up on his site?
Shirts, actually, but not match shirts, just regular shirts.
Got ya.
But other like local teams here. You know what I mean?
And so, well, actually, so if you're talking about that, I mean, how is football overall? I mean, obviously, it's stopped the time, but how is football? What's the quality like? Is it improving?
Yeah, I mean, they've got some. Probably championship level, the MLS, a lot of the teams. I mean, there's some good players in the league. Beckham's team. I mean, they just started the league really this year, and it got held up, didn't it? Like everywhere else. So of course they're supposed to be playing, but and they'll go.
Is it the case? The money in the MLS is kind of massively disproportionate to, the second tier. There's a good friend of ours who supports a team in Pittsburgh, and she's saying that the funding and the facilities, she was explaining it and describing the ground, and it was little more than a
MLS. Though, are they? They're not in MLS.
No, but so you've got this national MLS league.
It's like the Rowdies. I mean, I played for the Rowdies when we played at the stadium, 70,000. But they play now at a stadium that holds about 10,000.
Right.
It's a lovely backdrop. It's got the water, the yachts or whatever, and it's in St. Pete. And it's Joe Cole was there, wasn't he, for a bit? Yep. And
But it's
But I
not
see them now and again. You know, it's but with me coaching as well, it's tough. It's tough to go and watch them sometimes, you know, and it's not great. They're in the tier below the MLS,
right.
but it's not bad, you know, not great.
Let's put it this way: in comparison to having no football at all, I bet you're still missing that as well. So
it's like crazy. I mean, on the Saturday and Sunday when it's supposed to be on here, of course we get every game live. They're putting on classic matches, you know, like from the 90s and all through the Premier League. Just 30-minute highlights of each match. It's great though. It's fantastic. My agent, my wife Jackie, is reminding me to mention the He Shot He Scored group on Facebook. There's over 2,000 Brighton fans in it, and they get to do comments, get to post. I've seen some goals on there that I'd never seen before, so it's pretty good. And I'll do a few things for some of them on that Facebook group. So if anybody's interested, He Shot He Scored, and it should come up. My wife Jackie runs it, so
got you.
I had to mention it. So
fair enough. Well, there's a good chance, because we're going to put this on that particular page, you're watching it from that. So hope you enjoyed the interview. Pete, lovely to talk to you. Love to Jackie. Let's hope that we can catch up with you over this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nightmare.
It is. But listen, stay well, stay safe, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers, Al. Thanks. Lovely.
All the best.
Bye. Cheers.